viajero. No falla.
For this presentation, we chose to use Brian Eno and his friend Peter Schmidt, who is a painter, cards. They did a set of cards called Oblique strategies, and we will connect that to the creative process we've been through for this performance. So first question would be, is it finished? Or is the performance still going on? Did it stop when the music stopped? Will the audience be part of the performance? When the questions will be coming? We could ask our bodies to answer this question or to approach it. In a past project, Juan and I did before this ambient process, we worked with martial arts, that was fun, and me with fencing as these were two side activities we were doing at the time, and we decided to move them to some musical and sound environment. For this ambient conference, there is a character that is being like surfacing and now entering our own bodies. Her name is Maya Gabeira. She's a sportswoman who is she's a very renowned for facing big waves, and she had a near-to-death experience that we connected to Brian Eno text. I will go back to this later on.
This is taken from Brian Eno's ambient music essay included in A Whole Year of Swollen Appendices. This book was written in 1996. When we started to plan our performance and the presentation, we came across these words. At that moment, we were also taking natural swimming lessons with Karelia, our little girl. So we connected Eno's words with our most fresh experiences at that moment. Connecting with the Ask Your Body card from the slide, from the previous slide. These words actually appealed to our bodies at that very moment. So the structure of the piece and of this presentation was inspired by the first immersion experiences of an infant in natural swimming lessons. Dilation. Tamba is the dilation in time of the three stages of the immersion action. We call them surface, deep, and resurface. We use these words because they allow us to play with them, to deconstruct them, and through them get to poetic associations we consider interesting. During the stages of immersion, it is possible to experience different pressure, temperature, and density conditions within the fluid. The textural and timbral densities of the piece, of each section of the piece, are meant to convey these different phases of the fluid. Ángela is going to elaborate about these phases of fluids and also two-phase fluids later on. I realized that the term time dilation is somewhat specific to relativity theory, and that talking about time stretching would be more common. But we find time dilation more appealing, alluring, interesting, and more poetic for our purpose in this performance and presentation. One of the stages of the immersion experience, as I said before, is deep. I was just before talking about time dilation, and I said it was a term that is specific to relativity theory. There are two types of time dilation: velocity time dilation and gravitational time dilation. The latter is due to differences in the gravitational field of two observers. So the farther from the gravitational field, time will pass more quickly, is the idea. For instance, it is said that the Earth's core is 2.5 years younger than the surface. So this idea of time dilation became interesting for us, thinking that maybe during this instant of the immersion, during the deep, the body would be closer to the center of gravity, and time would be very slightly dilated.
Accretion would be the second scientific term coming in this presentation. It is used in astrophysics to describe how stars and planets form by accumulating matter and particles of different kinds. We associate it with the concept of mixture, that we are gathering materials from different sources to make the piece. Within the swimming experience, we are interested in the point where air and water meet, where the liquid and the aerial meet. We are wondering about ripples and that come to the surface, and what can be seductive, terrifying, or bizarre about these waves. Courage is our final slide. It's said in Eno's text that his friend, the painter, Peter Schmidt, encouraged him to publish the first ambient books when the music industry was not giving a warm welcome to the concept. Our character, Maya Gabeira, had this near-to-death experience when she faced a massive wave in Portugal in 2013, and we found quite interesting the story because some weeks after she recovered, she went back to the same spot and engaged in this activity. So in her year activity, she's flirting with death, as Eno says, about us going in these airplanes and in the ambience we are in airports. The story is interesting because it's described in undramatic terms, like she had this courage and this alluring attitude to go back to her activity after this very strong experience. There are here the references, some of the texts we have visited or we entered a dialogue with for this presentation. There is a scientific reference, is the second one, which is a paper from Susan Kiefer. She's a geologist, and she, at the time, Eno also published, similar year, Eno published this ambient album. She was interested in the speed of sound in water, air, or water steam borders that she found in volcanoes, for instance, and she realized that the speed of sound was very different from what the speed of sound is when it's a medium where there are no mixtures. So we found that scientific research interesting to keep connecting to our stories. And finally, there is the book published very recently by Elena Favilli and Francesca Cavallo. It's Good Night Stories for Rebel Girls, and there's where we found the story of Maya Cabello.